I do believe in a safe social safety net, but not one that goes on forever, okay? Not one that people live off of and transfer generationally. I believe in building generational wealth, not generational dependence. So that's how I feel about taxes. No, I don't want to pay all my income in taxes because these politicians don't know how to spend your money. They're totally irresponsible. Hey, MCE Crew, I hope your day is progressing profitably. We're going to talk today about one of the benefits of owning assets. Again, this is why you should own assets, because you can hold on to those assets and they can actually finance your life without you even spending those assets down under the right circumstances. This is why I always say, look, I love nice cars. I love them when someone else is sitting behind the driver's seat and they've got the payment for the latest Corvette. Okay, I want to put my money into assets. Now, it's not saying that you can't do all of those things. If you like nice cars and that vet is one of your aspirations, I say go for it. But do it in such a way that you have the assets to back it up. That you're not just someone driving around like most people in a hot car and they're struggling to make payments for it. A lot of that's going around. So let's get right into this Wall Street Journal article that talks about how the rich use their assets to finance their lifestyles by taking out loans that are backed by their assets. Okay? Let's get started and talk about how this works, because it's something that you too can do. Okay? This is not just for the rich. This is a way of thinking, a different way of thinking about debt that the wealthy employ. And it's something that you'll see at a certain level you can employ as well. Rising stocks and rock bottom interest rates have delivered a big perk to rich Americans: cheap loans that they can use to fund their lifestyle while minimizing their tax bills. Banks say their wealthy clients are borrowing more than ever before, often using loans backed by their portfolios of stocks and bonds. Morgan Stanley Wealth Management clients have $68.1 billion worth of securities-based and other non-mortgage loans outstanding, more than double 5 years earlier. Bank of America said it has $62.4 billion in security-based loans, dwarfing its book of home equity lines of credit. So that's an important point, that last piece there. All these real estate home equity lines that they've got out there are nothing compared to the loans that they have extended to wealthy people so that those wealthy people could finance their lifestyle. And the collateral for those loans are the assets, in this case, stock portfolios, stock and bond portfolios. The loans have special benefits beyond the flexible repayment terms and low interest rates on offer. They allow borrowers who need cash to avoid selling in a hot market. So they don't have to sell those shares, those ownership stakes in various companies that are represented by stock. These customers don't have to sell those in order to get their hands on some money. They can just use those shares as collateral and then borrow the money. You see, my beagle is extremely excited about that. Startup founders can monetize their stakes without losing control of their companies. The super rich often use these loans as part of a buy, borrow, die strategy to avoid capital gains taxes. The merely rich, in other words, not the super rich, are also borrowing against their portfolios. When Tom Anderson started at Merrill Lynch Company in Grand Rapids, Iowa in 2002, many of his fellow advisors had just one or two securities-based loans in their books of business. Over the years, he encouraged more clients to borrow and noticed peers doing the same. Now it is common for advisors at big firms to have dozens of these loans outstanding, he said. Merrill Lynch is now part of Bank of America. Now, look, you might think because of what we've read here that, oh, this is just for the phenomenally rich, the people who own big companies and things like that. And while it is for them, definitely, and they're getting a lot of mileage out of it, this is something that folk at a lower wealth level can use as well. And if you're on this channel, I'm sure that you are someone who has as a target in their mind attaining great wealth, okay, well over $1 million. So if you do that, this could be a strategy you use. Now, this is nothing new, okay. We mentioned the home equity lines of credit earlier. That is simply another way of getting an asset to work as collateral for you and then being able to get some cash out of that asset. Okay, the home equity lines are just done in a slightly different way, but it's the same type of thing that you may do now, or that someone you know may have recently done, in terms of taking a home equity line of credit. So this is not anything revolutionary. You could buy a boat, you could go to Disney World, you could buy a company, said Mr. Anderson, who now consults with banks on how to manage the risk associated with these loans. The tax benefits are stunning. Yes, taxes. Okay, let's talk about that. Now, the rich, they're always trying to figure out how to lower their tax obligation and do so legally. And I applaud that. Okay, you'll hear terms like, oh, it's a loophole. No, it's a provision in the tax code. Loophole makes it sound like it's something illegal, and that's just not true, okay? And when you hear people use that terminology, loophole, they're either ignorant to the tax code, or they are purposely trying to mislead you into believing that you can't use these same techniques to build wealth and lower your taxable income. Okay, so don't fall for that banana in the tailpipe routine from usually the media and politicians. For borrowers, the calculation is clear. If an asset appreciates faster than the interest rate on the loan, they come out ahead. And under current law, and remember what I just said, under current law, investors and their heirs don't pay income taxes unless their shares are sold. The assets may be subject to estate taxes, but heirs pay capital gains taxes only when they sell, and only on gains since the prior owner's death. The more they can borrow, the longer they can hold appreciating assets. And the longer they hold, the bigger the tax savings. Now, look, taxes. Yeah, we need a military that will protect us from the barbarian hordes. We need roads and bridges. And I do believe that we need to have a system set up to care for the less fortunate when people fall on really hard times. When I was growing up, my family was on welfare and food stamps for a time. And then a date, my mother circled a date on the calendar, and when that date arrived, we got off of food stamps, okay, and we got off of welfare, and we were doing much worse then than we had been on welfare, but things got better for us over time. So I do believe in a safe social safety net, but not one that goes on forever, okay, not one that people live off of and transfer generationally. I believe in building generational wealth, not generational dependence. So that's how I feel about taxes. No, I don't want to pay all my income in taxes, because these politicians don't know how to spend your money. They're totally irresponsible with the public's money. So yeah, we should look for any way we can to save on taxes legally. All right, this is a key point right here. Ordinary people don't think about debt the way billionaires think about debt, said Edward McCafferty, a University of Southern California law professor, who says he coined the buy, borrow, die phrase. Quote, once you're already rich, it's simple, it's easy. It's just buy, borrow, die. These are planks of the law that have been in place for 100 years. So this is just such a simple concept. You want to maintain your assets. You don't want to be subject to onerous taxation that's going to deplete your wealth and be, frittered away by some, politician who doesn't know the first thing about economics. So what do? Especially in an environment like the one we're in today, you borrow against your assets. and you live your life. You fund your lifestyle in that way, and you pay interest on the loan. That interest winds up being a heck of a lot less than the tax burden. So this is very, very simple to understand. I'll end it with this next passage, and then you can go and you can read the article for yourself. I'll link to it. Again, if you don't have a Wall Street Journal subscription, you might want to think about doing that. We did a video up here, how to read the Wall Street Journal. It's actually our most watched video. The president's tax plan would raise top capital gains tax rates to 43.4% from 23.8%, and make unrealized gains subject to capital gains taxes at death after a $1 million per person exemption. The changes would make borrowing less attractive, but wouldn't remove all of the benefits of deferring taxes by taking loans against the wealth. It may not advance through a closely divided Congress, where Republicans are dead set against any tax increases, and some Democrats have raised concern about the potential effect on investment and family-owned businesses. Now, why would some Democrats raise that concern? I bet you if you go back and you look at the ones who raised the concern, you'll find that they probably have family-owned businesses or know someone who does. These politicians are going to do what's in their own self-interest first and foremost when it comes to economic issues. You can bet on it. This kind of thing starts off at $1 million in assets. So it's not like you have to have, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars or be a billionaire in order to make this kind of concept work for you. All right. So go ahead, subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. We don't make any money off of that. As I always say, if you know someone over there at the Wall Street Journal,